February. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video from the Joining the Dots Startups Network. I'm going to have a lot of fun today talking with Dom Beary. Dom, welcome. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Carl. Very well.
Excellent. Now, you work with Mammoth Analytics, and today we're going to talk about the topic of data, which I know a lot of people out there, particularly on LinkedIn, we all know each other from data. So do you want to just introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about, your background and also what you currently sort of do on a day-to-day level when it comes to data.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. Don Beary. So I have a history in kind of sales, business development, first with kind of corporate telcos, trading, and then kind of selling infrastructure and delivering content on behalf of the big internet companies, the Googles and Facebooks and Amazons. And I also had a little bit to do with smaller companies, startups, and that excited me. And I had the opportunity to join a scale up where we were delivering content to for kind of consumer electronics companies and providing them with a whole bunch of data. And it was through that I met the founder of Mammoth, who was looking for some help. And I have joined to help him scale the business and to find partnerships and really to kind of enact the vision that he has that I immediately fell for, which was to empower people to be able to use data themselves rather than having to rely on other people. So non-technical people who have data, whose job title might not contain data, but who now in these days have loads of data sources that they need to crush together and analyze and provide outputs on.
Yeah, awesome. And I know this thing about, like you say, there's more and more data. I think people used to talk about data as oil, but actually it's kind of, it keeps coming out of the ground. It's a bit like nature, there's more and more of it, and there's more and more people who are obviously interacting with data. So we'll go into that as a topic. And I think, just as a bit of a teaser for everybody, we were having a bit of a chat before this, and I think, fundamentally, hopefully what we're going to get out in this conversation is I know businesses out there are thinking about, how to unlock data value and how to get more insight from data. But also, it's fundamentally, we're thinking about, how to improve people's quality of lives when they're trying to go through that process. Because I know a lot of people, have been stuck in front of computers and dealing with data sometimes has some painful elements to it. And
oh, absolutely. The number of people, like I said, weren't really expecting to have to do this and are now spending so much time kind of having to prepare their data and chomp through it and try and work out what the hell to do with it. And so if we can come in and if we can kind of help with the heavy lifting and just allow them to do the cool stuff, which is trying to work out how to improve their business, how to kind of get the insights, then our job is done. It's a philosophical thing. Let's try and make people's lives a little bit better.
Absolutely. So let's just talk me through that a bit in terms of some of the practicalities. I mean, we've touched on, okay, so there's a lot of data that people are dealing with. There is this Holy Grail that companies have got of like, okay, we know we've got data, we've got it all over the place. What can we do with our data and how can we, I think fundamentally one of the reasons why, you're part of this whole network that's come together through Joining Dots is it's about, what could you do tomorrow that can actually have a return on investment, can actually have an impact without, while maybe some businesses are doing this big kind of trying to move a massive ship, little by little, what can you actually do with a team tomorrow? And how do you think that through? What are the things that people are saying to you?
Yeah, look, I think, we talk about the descriptive, the prescriptive and the predictive data, maybe not in that order. And people talk about AI, that's a big buzzword. The reality is that most people are struggling to keep on top of the descriptive data. So that is what has happened. And so if you are able to manage that more effectively, then there are immediate kind of business improvements that can be made. And what happens when you are aware of what data you have, you then become aware of what data you might need. And so you can start layering on additional data sources and data sets that then allow you a little bit more depth and a little bit more of a fuller, rounder kind of view of kind of your world, your kind of business world. And so, we are working with people who are probably not very technical, but do understand their data. And we are helping them merge very big data sets together and easily explore them to see what they have, and then provide them with the output that they need, whether it's kind of a dashboard, the graphs and things, or whether it is, in more advanced companies, that AI modeling or machine learning capability. But for us, it's helping people use the data they have and kind of start adding to that rich data, so that they have the ability to gain more insight.
Okay, and I know, what one of the things that I'm very aware of in terms of this journey that you touched on is that companies have that kind of rude awakening of, we haven't got very good quality data. How are we going to increase the quality of the data, or at least, how are we going to work with the data to a point where it's more usable? And I think
Well, yeah, and some companies have more data than they use. I mean, they don't even bother using it, because we work on this whole kind of 80-20. I mean, it sounds cliched, but what we see across the board, across any industry, is that 80% of time spent on data is spent consolidating it and cleaning it all up, which only leaves that 20% for the analysis of it and for getting the insights. And of course, it's the insights that drive the value. What we're saying is, if we are able to automate that data prep bit, and there's a bit of a manual task to begin with to kind of set it up, but after that, the data flows through and new data flows through and follows the rules that you've set up, then you can spend a whole lot more time actually creating the insights and therefore the additional value.
I'm starting to laugh, because we were talking earlier, and you gave, just give me the anecdote. You told me about where one of your clients told me.
Oh, absolutely lovely. Because I won't go into the actual detail, but effectively the question was whether or not, by using Mammoth, she would not need to spend Sunday afternoons doing pivot tables. And the answer was yes. And, that made her happy, and it made us happy. And I think a lot of people, because of all the things we've already mentioned, are now really dealing with data, and that 80% of time is huge, and it's very often repetitive, and it's boring and tedious. This is the stage where Excel is the go-to tool that people have, which is fine. But when the data starts getting bigger and there are more complex data sets that need to be added, it just doesn't cut it. So what is the solution after that? Well, it's either going to your IT division to see if they can cobble something together, or maybe there is an enterprise-wide solution which invariably is designed for the IT department, and so is not easily used by these people, or just carry on spending all this time in Excel. And we think that there's a far better way. There's a far better way.
And I'm going to be quite sort of brazen about this question, in the sense that, just quite a direct thing for the audience to be able to map to whether Mammoth is a good fit for them. What are the kind of things? Because I think we've already kind of got a sense of what are the kind of issues that people are facing, where you might actually be a very good solution for them. But what are the things that you think, if you've got this and this going on at your business, chances are we could, save 80% of your time, or give your data scientists an ability to actually free themselves up to do the most high value work?
Yeah, so if you have data, if you're lucky enough to have data scientists, they kind of like us, because they still have to do a lot of that data prep work. They might use code to do it, but they still have to do it. So if there's a means where they don't have to do that and can focus on the really kind of sexy stuff, the powerful stuff, then that's good. Otherwise, for mere mortals, should we say, it's just a question of whether or not you're regularly having to crash together data sets, whether it is Excel or that you're able to pull from a database. And if the question is yes, and it's taking up too much time, then, we'd love to kind of help you solve some of those challenges and kind of automate it so that you then have the time to focus on other things.
And you work across quite a few different sectors, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, and this is a big learning on my part on the whole startup world, we spent a lot of time trying to work out which industry we would fit most naturally into, because obviously most industries have this problem of too much data. And where we are now is really focusing on the FMCG, or the CPG world, as it's known in the US, which is the consumer goods. Brand managers, category managers, insights managers, who are having to deal with far bigger data sets than they used to, and maybe now having to really think about the kind of the rise of e-commerce, especially over lockdown, and what do you do with this data, and how do you manage it, and how do you get the best out of it? And that seems to be a really kind of good fit.
Brilliant. Okay, one last question then. I mean, if you had one sort of tip or one message for the world out there, everybody's watching this video, but in terms of, there will be a lot of data people, let's say, who'll be watching this. What's one thing you'd like to leave them with as a point?
Well, if it doesn't need to be tedious, it doesn't need, I mean, people kind of sign up because it sounds glamorous, data, and getting all these insights and looking at data in different ways and slicing and dicing. At the moment, a lot of time is spent doing the horrid bit, the hard bit, the boring bit, the repetitive bit. And what we're saying is kind of come and have a chat, come and have a play with us if you would like to kind of automate that and kind of just focus on the good bits.
Yeah,
to make people's lives better, and at the moment we're seeing more and more people having a miserable time just because of the sheer volume of data that they're having to deal with. And if we can get rid of that pain, then everyone wins.
And I would back all that up and say, when I've had conversations with you in the past, and you actually showed me, how easy it is to start applying the structure and prepping and cleaning the data and actually suddenly getting it. It's really amazing and powerful to see how, in a matter of seconds, you start seeing what you're talking about. And we did talk about, maybe doing a demo today, but obviously it's open to the wide world. So I'd encourage people out there who are listening to obviously, have a look at the demo. And I think these things become very evident.
No, and my background was a different type of data. It was delivering content around networks around the world. But I met the founder, and I understood it as a kind of layperson, a non-technical person. I understood it, and I thought, this is absolutely brilliant. And it is that idea of just solving a real pain point, and opening up people's eyes to the fact that actually they can do it themselves. They don't need to rely on other people. Democratizing data is a term which is bandied around a lot, but it's more kind of empowering the non-technical person to do it themselves, and then get excited about it and start thinking about other ways that the data can be used and what other data is needed to provide better, outputs, value, whatever it is. It's really cool because data is not going away, and so we've got to find a way to be able to deal with it in a really efficient way, and to kind of automate all the horrid bits and kind of just focus on the valuable bits.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you only touched on the AI phrase as well, but I know what you're doing in terms of all that cleaning and prepping work is actually getting data fit for AI. And obviously,
whether it's dashboards, whether it's AI, whatever it is, the data needs to be cleaned, and you need to have a single source of truth. It needs to be hosted in one place, and then you can do some phenomenal stuff. But actually, most people hear about AI, but they're not entirely sure what it is. I've heard varying, well, I think some of the joining dots presentations that we've had kind of reduce AI to kind of more basic terms. But in reality, a lot of companies aren't there yet. They're just struggling with the data that they have. And sometimes not even using the data that they have. So let's start with that. Let's find a really easy way to bring all that data together, to clean it up and to start using it. And then we can start thinking about, what will happen with my business, or what could happen, or what would I like my business to look like. Let's start with what has happened. What can we learn from that?
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we'll obviously post your contact details, your LinkedIn, and the website on underneath in the description. And your email is dom@mammoth.io. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
All right, Dom. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time out today. Been really, I just feel this is a message that I've been wanting to actually get out as part of the network, because I just know, like, I'm almost tempted to think of the title as going to be, solving the data headache in a way, but
Yeah.
that's assuming that people all know what the data headache is. A lot of people do know what the data headache is. It's like, how do you actually get from step 1 to step 2 before you get to step 10? And they all want to go to step 10, and we know that's where the big opportunity can lie. But it's like, we've got to go one step at a time and actually do the important stuff and get the foundations right, and then automate, and then these amazing data people will be creative. So talk to Dom, everybody, and we'll be in touch again, I'm sure, on the in cyberspace, or maybe even in a face-to-face environment soon.
Absolute pleasure, Carl. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye.